Grenada, Carriacou, PT Martinique. Thank you so much for tuning in to Good Morning Grenada this morning. Pleasure to have you. Those of you joining us on the GBN Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, the website www.gbn.gd, GBN TV channel 7, 11, and 20. Good morning to the listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9, and all the folks joining us on Party Grenada and Go to FET Facebook pages. It is Thursday, June 3rd, 2021, a public holiday, Corpus Christi holiday, and it's a pleasure. It's also Thankful Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Those of you joining us across the Caribbean, whichever part of the region you are, a spicy Grenadian 473 morning to each and every one of you. And those of you tuned in internationally, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Hope you will have a good day, are having a good day, have had a good day. Let's do this. It's time for this morning's Word of the Day. That song is a whole vibe. All right, this morning's word of the day is interlard. Interlard. It's spelled I-N-T-E-R-L-A-R-D. Interlard. It's a verb which means to diversify by adding or interjecting something unique, striking, or contrasting. Interlard. The verb comes from the Middle English verb which means to mix fat into, and it also comes from the Old French entrelarda. The Old French verb is a compound of the preposition entre, which means between, and the verb larder, to cook with lard or bacon fat. Interlard entered English in the mid-15th century. Now, that's the word of the day this morning, I-N-T-E-R-L-A-R-D, interlard. It is a verb which means to diversify by adding or interjecting something unique, striking, or contrasting. An example of the use of the word: more than by the tone was he startled by the obscenities with which the Colossals did not hesitate to interlard his first speech to a total stranger. That's the word of the day this morning, interlard, I-N-T-E-R-L-A-R-D, a verb which means to diversify by adding or interjecting something unique, striking, or contrasting. See how best you can use it in a sentence today. Most of you home, you're not at work, so you can speaking to the children, the husband, the wife, mommy, daddy, auntie. See how you can use interlard today. Or you can interlard. You can be something adding extra unique, like how I'm an interlard. I'm coming and I'm bringing something unique and striking. Oh gosh, look at me, interlard. All right, let's go. As you go about your Thankful Thursday on this Corpus Christi, the thought of the day is: you never know what someone is going through. A few nice words can help a person a lot more than you think. You never know what someone is going through. A few nice words can help a person a lot more than you think. Big facts. A lot of people deal with personal issues, whether it's job related, at home, their health, mental health. They are going through things, but they're smiling in public. You just never know. So just be kind. A nice word. Miss, you look nice today. Have a nice smile. I like that outfit. Ooh, that pants fit you. That pants take you. You know, a little nice words can help lift somebody's spirit. You just never know what people are going through. Just as how nobody knows what you're going through, just so you don't know what somebody else is going through. You never know what someone is going through. A few nice words can help a person a lot more than you think. That's the thought of the day for Thankful Thursday, Corpus Christi, for the rest of the week. Just be nice. A few nice words. A stranger, co-worker, family members, to yourself in the mirror. A few nice words can go a long way. That's the thought of the day. All right, like I said, it is Corpus Christi. Now, most of us, especially in Grenada, maybe the rest of the Caribbean, we know Corpus Christi as Planting Day. That's the day we used to, whether it's prepare the field or plant the crops, or we had the seedlings there waiting for Corpus Christi. How many people knew that Corpus Christi is a Christian festival celebrated on the Thursday after Trinity Sunday? It's only recently that I understood that Corpus Christi is more than just planting day. On this day, devout Christians gather together to honor the sacred body of Jesus Christ. The day is also known as Corpus Domini, which literally translates to body and blood of Christ, while some also call it the Feast of Corpus Christi. Unlike other Christian festivals, Corpus Christi is celebrated uniquely in different cultures of the world. The most common way of celebrating is by consuming bread and wine, the symbols of the body and blood of Christ. It was only maybe last year before that I understood what Corpus Christi really is about, or at least what is celebrated mostly in other parts of the world, despite our using it for planting day. Yeah, you learn something new every day, so maybe somebody's just learning that today, or like me, they learned about it maybe 1 or 2 years ago. It's Corpus Christi today. So those of you who are planting, or those of you who are devout Christians that choose to celebrate that way, however you choose to celebrate, make it a fun one, make it memorable, and just enjoy yourselves today. All right, and just before we go to the news, just for information, for those of you who are using the eastern part of the island to get to and from today, it's a holiday, so I have a feeling a lot of people will be out and about trying to enjoy, take advantage. Keep in mind that the Ministry of Works, they have closed the Balthazar Road, and that closure is from 9 to 4 p.m. today. So please take note of that. Balthazar Road will be closed from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. today. And the Ministry of Infrastructure has advised that tomorrow, Friday, the road will be open to 1 lane of traffic as work proceeds in the area. The closure is necessary to facilitate the excavation of a new retaining wall and removal of debris. So those of you who are on the western side of the island or using that road today and tomorrow, please the Lord, it's completely closed today, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and only 1 lane of traffic will be opened tomorrow, Friday, God willing. So keep that in mind, especially for tomorrow, getting to work and getting from and to Grenville and wherever else you're going on the eastern side of the island. It's closed today, 1 lane open tomorrow, please the Lord, so expect traffic delays. The ministry has advised that you can use the Ladigue Road when traveling between Grenville and St. George's via the Granitang Road as opposed to the Balthazar Road, so you can travel through Ladigue. So again, Balthazar Road closed today, 1 lane open tomorrow, please the Lord. I have not seen information for Saturday, so hopefully by Saturday, please the Lord, everything will be open for traffic to flow. So keep that in mind. All right, and now let's get ready for the morning edition of news. For those of you on radio and those of you on our visual platforms, we bring you highlights of last evening's newscast. It's Good Morning Grenada on Corpus Christi. We'll be right back.
Jimmy Braveboy is assisting the Royal Grenada Police Force with their investigation into his alleged illegally re-entry into Grenada. After asking for the public's assistance to locate Braveboy on Tuesday, police notified the public on Wednesday that he surrendered. More in this Rena Pierre-Thomas report.
The manhunt for Grenadian national Jimmy Braveboy is off, as members of the Royal Grenada Police Force confirm that he is presently in police custody. Braveboy, who resided on the island of Trinidad, allegedly re-entered the country illegally on Saturday. A report issued by police says Braveboy, a resident of New Hampshire St. George, entered the island of Petite Martinique via a fishing vessel. It is alleged that he later traveled via the Osprey Line to mainland Grenada and failed to adhere to quarantining procedures on entry into the country. According to Corporal Kadena Douglas McLean, attached to the Community Relations Department of the RGPF, Braveboy turned himself in on Tuesday afternoon.
Okay, so what we can say at this time that Mr. Braveboy turned himself into the police custody yesterday. He reported at CID St. George's and he's presently in custody assisting us with our investigations.
On the other hand, ASP Leroy Joseph from the Immigration Department of the RGPF says that the number of persons arrested for illegal entry for the year 2020 compared to the numbers so far this year has doubled.
And to this point in time, we intercept a few persons who enter our country illegally. And And there is an increase from last year to this year. Last year, for the entire year 2020, immigration charged 15 persons for entering the country illegally. So in other words, when I say illegally, I mean it did enter the country without the consent of an immigration officer. In layman terms, they will say illegal entry, but the charge is entering the country without the consent of an immigration officer. And so we charged over 15 last year. Okay, surprising to know that from January 1st to May 31st, which is yesterday, 24 persons has been charged for entering our country illegally. And this is not half of the year, because today is the beginning of June.
Right.
So the data I'm giving you is up to the 31st of May, which is yesterday. 24 persons was charged. So we are very, much vigilant.
The immigration officer who was speaking on GBN's Mid-Morning Buzz on Tuesday is calling on members of the public to report anyone they suspect came into the country illegally. For GBN News, I am Rena Ped-Thomas reporting.
As the resolution to extend the state of emergency was debated in the Senate, opposition Senator Matthew Joseph said had some strong words of caution against the lack of enforcement of the protocols. The senator said the protocols need to be maintained to ensure COVID-19 is kept out. Jared Joseph has the details.
Despite the regulations, opposition Senator Matthew Joseph said there have been several instances in which either the will to enforce the protocols was lacking or a lack of care by individuals. Making mention of Grove, the senator, who is a resident, believes that there isn't a curfew in certain parts of that community.
I don't think there is a curfew in certain parts of Grove. I don't think so. So it comes back here to the will in terms of the application and the execution of those protocols.
Senator Joseph also hinted to an ongoing conversation within select circles concerning Carnival, which, if held, would fall during the extension of the state of emergency. Joseph had strong words of caution, noting the current situation in Trinidad and the potential of illegal entry if Spice Mass is held.
And some people, Mr. President, when they hear Carnival, they go crazy. I want the nation to tread cautiously in relation to that decision whether to have or not to have, or whether to have limited or unlimited. People have a way of skimming through, and we cannot take chances.
The Prime Minister in February stated that it would be a mistake to have a mass event such as Carnival, even if 60% of the nation had been vaccinated. The Senator reiterated his call to enforce the regulations as the state of emergency is extended.
In this new extension, I hope a number of things can be corrected. The law is the law. Let us execute and implement the law. We can't be having parties and blockers and people hanging out after 12. In fact, it is my personal opinion, Mr. President, that the curfew should start before 12 o'clock. That's my personal opinion. But some people would say, Mr. President, the little night activity and to keep the economy this and the economy that.
He also called for the enforcement of the Liquor License Act, which speaks to the hours of operations for licensed dealers. I am Jared Joseph for GBN News.
The Ministry of Health is reporting a drop in the number of Grenadians coming to get their first shot of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Minister Steele, who was speaking to the media on Tuesday, said that after their announcement last week that over 800 persons vaccinated per day, the numbers had dropped significantly.
Last half of last week and into this week so far, there has been a drop-off in individuals coming forward. We're averaging somewhere about 150 to 250 persons per day coming forward to be vaccinated, where previously in the week before we were seeing 800 to 1,000 persons per day. And we are hoping that that will change and we will see an uptake.
The minister also made mention of the over 2,000 AstraZeneca vaccines that were received by government. He explains that Grenadians need to take their first vaccine soon in order to qualify for the second dose before the expiry date.
Get vaccinated. We received an additional 21,600 doses of vaccines last week, AstraZeneca vaccines. I know the question will come, so I will give the details from the point of view of the expiration dates of those vaccines. Those vaccines that we recently received expire on or around the 31st of August, which means that for all of us here in Grenada to access those vaccines in a timely manner, we have till the middle of June in which to come forward and take the vaccine and still have your full 10 weeks to take your second dose.
What happened to the human remains found in Mardi Gras, St. George on January 19th, 2021? And whose remains was it? The answer to these questions still remain unanswered.
4 months after the discovery of bones of a human body in the bushes at Mardi Gras was made by a puppy belonging to one Ian Julian on January 19, 2021, GBN contacted the Community Relations Department for an update following a promised investigation into the findings. However, our news desk was told that to date, the situation remains the same and that once there are any changes as such, the general public will be informed. Several lawmen, including members of the Criminal Investigation Department and a pathologist, were on the scene. Meanwhile, the disappearance of Cecilia Mongo of Mardi Gras St. George remains a mystery. No one to date has come forward with any evidence of her whereabouts. Karen Mongo was called to the scene by police officers after the discovery as a means of identifying any particulars that may belong to the missing woman. However, it remains unknown whether the remains match that of her mother. Just after 1 p.m., police received a report from Mardi Gras resident Ian Julian, the owner of the dog, after the animal discovered the bones of a human body in the bushes where he went to tie out his sheep. Julian said he was thinking about training the pup to hunt when the discovery was made. Forensic evidence was collected which may suggest or confirm the identity of the remains. Christelina John, GBN News.
Bus operators in the town of St. George are complaining that the public toilet at the facility has been closed for the past 3 days without any indication as to when it will be reopened. They say this has caused great inconvenience for them and passengers. GBN's reporter Rena Payer-Thomas brings you this story.
Bus operators and passengers at the St. George's bus terminal are forced to find alternative facilities to let out their waste. This comes as the public toilet in the bus holding station has been labeled out of order and shut down. GBN was informed that the facility has been experiencing some problems over the past month, but was officially closed since Monday of this week without any indication as to when it will be reopened. Bus operators and other persons who rely on the toilet facility to relieve themselves expressed their concerns to GBN News team on the matter.
Since last year, the urine part of it was backing up, and this year, everything just started back up. What about we asking the authority to do is to put 2 disposable, that's right. They could put 2 inside it because senior people come in and asking for a washroom and they have to leave and go. They cannot use it. So the authority, it seems to me that they just close it down and then trying to fix it. It's affecting me very bad because sometimes we have to leave here and go along to the mall. We have to leave up here and go up to the mall. So it's time for them to come and fix that.
It's been locked down since Monday, and they hadn't been informed, nobody in terminal like bus operators, that it would be locked down, what is the problem or anything like that. And it's a concern. All bus operators have to go elsewhere, and it's very unfair, and it's not looking nice, you know. We have facilities here and I can really use it, you know. It's a concern, everybody keep talking about it, and then why the authority not even saying anything. They have a PA system which they could have said the toilet is not in use so you could know what to do and flex differently, but nothing like that, you know.
I think the government needs to work on it and do better because every minute so water coming out and things going on. So they need to work on it.
In trying to get a comment from the managing body of the bus terminal, GBN visited the administration manager for the Grenada Port Authority, Mr. Marlon Klein. Though unable to make a comment on camera, Mr. Klein stated that the authority is aware of the situation and is presently working to resolve it. For GBN News, I am Rena Pett Thomas reporting.
When you are cold, do you think of those with no warmth? When you eat, do you think of those who are hungry? One man pleads for some attention to be given to the homeless people in Grenada. Details in this Chrislina John report.
We see them every day on the sidewalks, begging for $1 or a little something to eat. Often we turn the other way, ignoring their plea. Life on the street is not easy for a nomad, as he is exposed to sickness and diseases, and they become the elements of abuse. Who cares? Former Commissioner of Police James Clarkson is disheartened by what he sees on a daily basis.
The sort of people that walking in Grenada, they're walking literally naked. And how the hell people not seeing that? These are people that should be helping. They're walking naked. When I tell you naked, I see that in the eyes. Yeah? Why can't we do something for them?
You're talking about the homeless.
The homeless people, they're walking naked, no pants. Sometimes I see a guy naked asking a woman that lives in a place for some water to drink. Naked. Why can't they see that? And help these people. Maybe you need to give the homeless some passport to sell so they can get some money to fix themselves. That is what you need to do.
He says as a young man growing up, his father made it his business and involved them in feeding the needy as a routine. Today, he says, he continues with the act of kindness.
$10, $15, I'll make it in change. Because I know by the time I hit the gas station down there, you see these people just there, you know, I can't leave them because my father never leave people like that, wanting. Every Saturday we used to get out from the shop. He give us money or food for the homeless people that come in to give them something. And this is what you see now. And he dead must be about 20 years now. And I'm speaking about 50, 60 years ago. And you're coming now and you're seeing the same thing.
This is what he believes would be a stepping stone in addressing homelessness.
What needs to be done, we need to get a caring government. Caring people that think about people, not just about themselves. We get there for 5 years and we make ourselves rich. And look at the people you're making yourself rich off. This is very hurtful.
Chrislina John, GBN News.
The recent resignation of Terry Noel as an opposition senator was addressed as the upper house sat for the first time in recent months. Noel had served notice to both opposition leader Tobias Clement and President of the Senate, Chester Humphrey. We got details in this report.
President of the Senate, Chester Humphrey, addressing the resignation of opposition Senator Terry Noel, expressed his appreciation for the contributions made during his short stay in the Senate. Humphrey says, though he had expected a longer stay, the former senator's contribution were worthwhile.
I think for the time that he was here, I believed that his contributions were very worthwhile. He had a knowledge of history. I think he had a very strong inclination towards the historical issues and his attempts to connect them to the present.
Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Simon Still, and Agriculture Senator Roderick St. Clair also shared their appreciation for the former senator's contributions.
Clearly he felt his contribution could be expressed in a more amplified way based on the the journey he is about to venture on outside of this chamber, and we look forward to seeing how those contributions unfold. But
I met him. He was, I would say, a compadre. You know, we chatted a lot to discuss a lot of ways that we can better represent the different constituents that we were here to do. We learned from each other, and so on a personal note, I would miss him. He also is an avid farmer in the farming community, and so that also is a voice that one voice less.
His former colleagues, opposition senators Tessa Sincere and Matthew Joseph, joined in with their sentiments toward the former senator.
My regret is that we never got the chance to sit together and solve as the opposition team. That's my regret.
Labour Senator Andre Lewis said he had eagerly anticipated the further contributions of Terry Noel, especially as he had shared a strong inclination toward the support for workers. Terry Noel issued his resignation to opposition leader Tobias Clement last month, saying that his decision sprung from the Grenada movement's announcement that it has begun its transition from a non-governmental organization into a political party. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
The Grenada movement and its leadership have not selected nor close to a position of electing candidates for the position of caretakers as they transition to a political party. Chairman Dr. Patrick Antoine says they have a constitutional and legal team with experts such as Jimmy Bristol and Michael Church who are consulting with the people.
They're working on all of these matters while we consult with the people. So the answer is no. The answer is, are they good candidates that we see? Yes. Have they been chosen, and how will they be chosen? This democratic institution that we're building, that it's the first institution that we're building in the last 20 years that will sustain beyond me and beyond us, is an institution that will have the norms and the rules and the framework in place for how these choices are made.
Antoine says the democratic process will prevail during the selection of caretakers who he hopes will become candidates.
Not only will we do that in terms of selecting candidates, but we intend even after they're selected and after they win to ensure that those candidates remain grounded in the community. And we believe, for instance, that the time has come for us to do more than talk about local government. And part of the work of these candidates is going to be working to put in place very quickly a local government system where they can now start talking to their local government representatives to remain more connected with the people. Let me tell you, we have some passion in TGN.
Now we turn our attention to what has been creating a buzz on social media. Trelawna Charles has been looking around the platforms.
This is Social Buzz, where we shine a light on the thoughts and concerns of our online audience. According to Minister of Health Nicholas Steele, the government will be introducing identification cards for people who have taken the COVID-19 vaccine and are fully vaccinated.
We are looking at a pilot late this week, between today and the end of the week, to launch a pilot where we would have a picture ID vaccination card for those who choose to get one. It is not mandatory, but it really will facilitate individuals who want to go to fully vaccinated events. So the pilot will start later on this week. When we are ready for that, we will make that announcement. So members of the public who are fully vaccinated can come forward to the designated location to receive a picture vaccination ID.
Our online audience gave their opinions on the minister's announcement. Ishan commented, discrimination. The vaccine does not prevent nor stop the spread of COVID. So what's all this hype for? We still need to treat people like people. It's just sad the lengths these administrations are going for others' agendas. Diane wrote, there are all kinds of issues and excuses regarding the availability of her national ID, but somehow it is now feasible to acquire COVID-19 ID. Ian agreed. He wrote, vaccination ID card. What about the expired voters' ID cards? That is important too. And Kim K added, still, all you taking many months to give people their voters' ID, but how come we're getting vaccine ID so quickly? Joyce asked, and people put up with that? How is it different than wearing a yellow Star of David? Flashback to Nazis. Aren't we equal in the sight of God? Discrimination? Paula commented, what about persons who aren't medically fit to take the vaccine? They can't enjoy life anymore? This is sad. You guys talk about herd immunity. Why be so selfish? Because you guys are getting paid big salaries, poor people must bow down to you all? Some persons took the vaccine against their wishes just to feed their families. And Darrell commented, you can still be a carrier and also share COVID even after 2 shots. You need to continue awareness of symptoms as they match seasonal allergies, flu, and common colds. You have given up on testing the locals for COVID. You also need to provide factual information on this respiratory illness that is spreading now on Grenada. If you are telling the public it is influenza, then identify which strain of influenza it is. Otherwise, why should we believe you? That's it for tonight's Social Buzz. If you would like to have your thoughts and concerns shared, be sure to comment on GBN's Facebook page.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell has challenged the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, to be more aggressive in its approach to helping Grenada and other CDB member states address developmental challenges. The Prime Minister on Tuesday had an introductory virtual call with the new CDB president, Dr. Leon, and senior members of his team. In a conversation that was punctuated with light banter, but which addressed several critical issues, the Prime Minister also called for more innovation in the execution of the CDB's mandate. He said, these are tough times for the region, and the CDB and its personnel have to become even more innovative in serving its member states. It cannot be business as usual in this time of crisis. The pandemic has created enormous challenges, but it has also opened up immense opportunities, and we must find a way to harness these for the benefit of the region's development. End of quote. Better furniture for 2 primary schools in St. George. Let's get more.
One primary school principal is happy that her students will now be able to operate in a more comfortable environment. This as the St. George's Methodist and the St. George's Anglican Junior Schools were both gifted with a supply of furniture. The donation was handed over to the principals of both institutions by Chinese Ambassador to Grenada, His Excellency Wei Yongtian, and Parliamentary Representative Honorable Peter David.
Education is the foundation of the future of a nation. So investment in education means a lot. China and Grenada has been enjoying a very good relationship for the past 16 years. And China has been lending support to Grenada. And we have many practical cooperation in many sectors, including education sectors. So we are sure that China will continue to provide support to the education sector of Grenada, and we will join hands to deepen the cooperation in many sectors, including education sectors.
Minister David expressed appreciation to the ambassador.
On behalf of the government, on behalf of the people, on behalf of the students, I want to say to you that you can rely on us.
Thank you.
In the government, in the constituencies, among the people, to continue to have that excellent relationship with the People's Republic of China. The relationship now is as solid as ever, from the kids to the parents the People's Republic is seen as a true friend. I want to thank you, and for you to express to your government, to express to your foreign ministry, to your education ministry, how grateful we are and how much we look forward to further.
Principal of the St. George's Anglican School, Asher Bailey, admits that they have been challenged and that the furniture will aid in remedying the problem.
Today, after packing up the furniture, we realized that we had so much extra space in the allotted space for the grade 3s. Right, the furniture, they are much smaller than what was there previously, and so we are seeing that the children are easy to maneuver throughout the classes. One of the teachers even mentioned yesterday, Miss, I wish that the entire school had these furniture. We are truly hoping that we can get some more, especially given our unique situation, right? Words alone cannot say how grateful we are for this. It truly touched our heart in a special way.
Christina John, GBN News.
Trends come and go, but jewelry is forever in style. Give a gift that lasts a lifetime. Diamond Intercontinental have diamond jewelry, gold and silver jewelries, engagement rings, wedding bands, chains, bracelets, and so much more. They also carry brands such as Anne Klein and Guess. Why wait? Visit Diamond Intercontinental Jewelry Store at the Esplanade Mall. Call 440-231234. The number again, 232-1234.
State-of-the-art Ultratech gasoline and diesel, available only at Rubis stations.
How going on, boy? Hey, good old things. Hey, easy. Yeah. Boy, line, boy, your house looking a real good day. Boy, it's thanks to the hard-working and professional staff at the Housing Authority of Grenada. They handled me real nice. They did my plan, they did the construction, and I didn't even have to worry about a thing. They were there with me every step of the way, supervising the job, asking me about my concerns, giving me feedback as the house took shape. They were there from start to finish, and even put the keys in the palm of my hand. I give them an A++ for customer service. Oh, it's people from housing bad, boy. Boy, not bad. Excellent. If you're thinking about constructing your home, why not consult the Housing Authority of Grenada? You could visit them right down in the Sandino complex, or give them a call, 440-1015 or 440-1016, or check out their website, hag473.com. They go handle you. They go jog your blocks, they go draw your plan, they go tote your materials. Hey man, where you going? The Housing Authority of Grenada is your choice for affordable housing and a stress-free construction experience.
We are taking pride in outstanding performance. We are encouraging and recognizing innovation. We are committed to continuously doing things better, with enhanced services coming soon. Yes, we are here for you. Check us out today for your financial need. GUT Credit Union, it's where you belong.
Understanding our ocean is education for life. Encourage your students to learn about marine life, water quality, sea level rise. Let them explore sciences. Encourage them through field trips and scholarships. The more they know, the better they can protect our oceans from litter and climate change. Let them rise to the challenge. The ocean is our responsibility, their inheritance, their future.
This message brought to you by the OECS Commission with funding from the Government of Norway. Remlit, tackling ocean pollution from turf to surf.
Welcome back to Good Morning Grenada. Thank you so much for sticking with us, and those of you just joining us, happy to have you. It is Corpus Christi holiday, and usually this time, traditionally I should say, this is the time that Grenadians, maybe the rest of the Caribbean, we use as planting day. This is the day that we either prepare the soil to plant or we actually start putting the seeds and the crops in the ground. So this morning, that's what we're going to be talking about. No talk the things Thursday. We're talking specifically about our Corpus Christi tradition of planting. And joining me virtually is the farmers representative in the Senate, Senator Roderick St. Clair. Good morning, sir. How art thou?
Morning, Blossom. Morning, dear listeners. It's farmers and fishers, eh?
Farmers and fishers. That is forget the fisherman part.
Yes, I want to say good morning to everyone. I guess some might be even in church, just coming from. You know, it's also a day of religious significance too. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And only recently I understand that it's not just about planting, but there's actually a religious celebration involved.
Well, yeah, actually, you go to church and you come back, you have breakfast, etc., and then you go planting. As they say, normally you don't really want to plant on a hungry belly too, because sometimes it's all those myths about it, so you have breakfast and then you go out planting, your peas and your corn and those things like that, generally.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So peas and corn, as you bring up the peas and corn, that's traditionally what you hear people plant when it comes to Corpus Christi and just around the holiday. So let's first of all look at the significance of Corpus Christi, especially to us here that use it as planting and as a moment to, spend some time in the garden and in the farmlands. What exactly should be taking place, but could be taking place when it comes to planting this time of the year?
Well, the first thing you look at there is that we have to understand the hurricane season is close. It's the next month, July, basically. And we are into the rainy season. So we have to understand the cultural attachment to this. Agriculture has changed significantly through the years with irrigation, and you have your pipes and all of those systems. So the dependency on water now is less significant than depending on rain. So you can have water from the rivers or water from your tap, setting up your whole agriculture system. We have to understand that many years ago, 30, 20 years ago, the whole water network wasn't like as of now. So you would plant with the season, if you want to say that. So even in Carriacou still follows a lot of that. Then they look at when the rain is going to come, and that's how they plant. Carriacou is a very good example of that. And so you time it such that by the time you prepare your lands and start planting, the rain is here. And that is very important with that cultural approach. If you look, for example, corn in particular, I want to take as an example. Even in my growing up, I thought corn was only a certain time of the year. Now you realize corn is grown any time of the year, throughout the whole year. In fact, you don't have enough corn when you look at the boiled corn and the roast corn and business around the Grenada. So that has changed somewhat culturally for us. But of course, the tradition still has to be maintained because it's part of our security. And so Carriacou, Petit Martinique, in particular, will continue because the water systems is not as us in Grenada, and there you'll see that cultural connection continue. And so later on in the year, your peas you would harvest, you will secure the seeds, the dry peas to plant for the next season. But again, that's another story because we know of cutting down the trees, but the peas tree can go 2-3 years if you manage it properly. You prune it back and it blossoms once more and there. So all of those innovation has come through the years, and so you have to have people like the Ministry of Agriculture and others sort of taking us through that cultural tradition and some of the innovation to make this whole food security more sustainable. Because it's about food. Even the corn, you have the corn, then you dry it, and then what do you do to it? You turn it into cornmeal, and you have that stored, so you have food for a long time. But we spend a lot of time importing the cornmeal. This is another serious, so we speak about our food import bill and all of those things, but there are a lot of other areas that we are not tapping into. So, for example, it's cornmeal, and when you speak to a lot of individuals, they like the cornmeal locally. And the price difference is really not significant. If we can improve particularly our milling process, that could help. So there is great opportunity for us in terms of that areas. And of course, there are some villages we know tradition, the Montmaurice area, Munich, certain parts of the country, Rose Hill, if you drive around the country, you realize you would see the corn and peas in certain quantum, sorrel is another one too that would take feet now because you want it to be ready for Christmas. Although now there are different varieties of the sorrel that can grow for a more extended period. So that is another innovation. You have like the Caribbean Agriculture Research Institute, Mr. Andal and his team in Cadi has those technologies available. And of course, in the whole idea of planting, you would want to put in some ground provisions. So your sweet potato is another important crop that you can interplant, because whilst the sweet potato is running and covering the soil, you have the corn and the peas, as you say, will bust up, and you interplant them so you maximize. Because I've mentioned this before, through my travels to Rwanda in particular, what I noticed, and that was very significant, that the soil was always covered. So even if there were 3 crops, it was covered with another food crop, whether it's peanuts or potato, as the case may be. In our parts of the world, we like to see free space, free soil. So you have a tree here, a tree, and then you have soil. And what happens between the soil? Weeds. And then the farmer then says, we have to mulch, or we have to buy plastic mulch because the weeding is a big cost. But could you imagine you have that ground cover, whether it's peanuts, whether it's a vine crop, pumpkin, as the case may be, those cover crops will cover the soil and reduce the incidence of weeds, and it reduce the whole management system. So we have to be farming smartly in this process. And so when our foreparents did those sort of things, there was some science in their operations.
Speaking of science, I know it matters the time of year that you plant certain produce, goods, fruits, vegetables, that kind of thing, but does it matter the time of day as well?
Well, I'm not that sort of deep scientist. You have many other persons that will tell you that. And well, there is some basic science that will tell you you'd want to plant when it's cool. So for example, it would be better to plant in the evening time. And the simple reason is that if you plant in the early morning, which is also you can do, because you don't want to plant in the middle of the hot sun, because whatever you plant will be weeded, weathered. So what happens is that as a little boy again, cut some of the, I think it's wild coffee and all those, and you will stick those close to that plant that you transplant, so that it has a shade or protection for a few days while the plant catches itself. Now, if you plant early morning, say 5 o'clock, thereabout, 4:35, depending on the brightness on the outside, it takes a while before the sun heats up, maybe say around 10:30, to interfere with it. But that's a short time. But if you plant it in the evening, 5, 6, when the sun is going down, then you have almost 13, 14 hours, because you're talking about till about 10 o'clock the next day, you get that increase in temperature. So it has that longer time to sort of catch itself, if you want to say, and survive. So that would be the significance more than anything else. But of course, our farm labor is in the morning, 8 o'clock to 12. Sometimes, but the farmer will say 11 o'clock, 3 hours. They get in for $50 a day. So that is the challenge that we have to look at. So even when we look at our whole working system as it feeds the different sectors, we have to look at that. Security, we have night security and day security. So why is it that our farming system have to only be in the day for farm labor? These are the type of things we have to look at. Of course, we don't have the lights in the night, but there are certain things that can happen in the afternoon. Rather than, because the farmer, him or herself, providing their own labor, would use own minions. But the person they employed want to be within that, what I would call day zone of sometime between 8 and 4. Not that they are working 8 to 4, but they may work 8 to 11, and they may break a task one place and they come from maybe 1 to 4 in the evening to give you another task, that kind of things.
What does this, especially this time used for planting, what does this mean for our food security? How can this help with our food security?
Well, I would say it's what I would call a natural boost. Is a boost that has nothing to do with the government. It has to do with the tradition. It has to do with a self-esteem, if you want to say that you're providing for you and your family essentials. Because if you look at the crops that have been produced, are essentials: corn, peas, and of course, sorrel is a tradition too. So that is something from inside, internal, and that I think makes it even more valuable, because when you do something from internally and not being pushed or suggested to, then you tend to take more ownership. And so what we need to do for this is more persons have to follow that tradition, and it's a matter of planting the correct thing. I'll speak about the root with those items. It augurs well. And it's something that I would say for myself, and it's really happy that you as a media is engaged in that. And also, you cannot leave when I speak of the government, I speak of the Ministry of Agriculture, you cannot leave them out in this mix. And so collectively, it's a matter of creating a new impetus, because sometimes a farmer wants to really do something a little bit extra, but he needs a technical advice, or he needs some labor support, or you may need some, you may have an elderly man who really want to keep the tradition, but he cannot prepare the land. So is there a land plowing service available? Is there someone to open the drain and maybe clear the land for him? It's not about government handout. And so it's a sort of call it's a purposeful thing for a purpose at the end of food security. So how do you incentivize that little part? Because that would help, and maybe remove a lot of people from the seed and all of these different things, because they're able to do this. It's just like how there is sometimes the bushing program, which that's a different discussion around Christmas time, to put a little monies in people's pocket. You could incentivize just around this period, tweaks, whatever little support that is needed to create that extra boost and to support the culture. Because what would happen eventually? The culture will die. And you don't want that, because you want the food, which at the end of the day gives us, more reliability and so on. So it's a very good question you ask.
Some people as well would use this time to actually get into farming agriculture, even if it's on a small scale, whether it's in the backyard or just a plant on the windowsill. How or what crop should I use to get started? Let's say I want to use, I know Corpus Christi is a day for planting. What are the products that I should start with? Maybe, for lack of a better word, an easy product that, I can groom and spruce up and...
Well, I would say, and that kind of description that you're giving, you would find a lot of that's nature of what you're speaking about is along seasonings. Seasonings rather than food product. Of course, you can put a tomato plant in a bucket, that sort of mobile medium that you're speaking about. But in a lot of cases, in the way you're describing, folks would have little cups with a little seasoning and little herbs, because we like to season up our things. In fact, I was only looking at some photos that someone sent me from a supermarket in Germany this morning. I can't remember the name exactly, and they take the whole roof of the supermarket and turn it into a greenhouse. And they are doing seasoning. I think is a basil or something like that. In little pots, if you want to call it that. And of course, I guess when you come to buy, they will just sell you that, and you take this home, you cut, you use, and you have it there, and it replenishes itself, because they will bloom up, blossom, if you want to say, use your technical word. So that, I would say, is a good way to start, because what you want to do to incentivize persons is that if you're doing things and it's taking long to see results, your heart is broken. So seasonings are a set of items that you can find in a regular, and it's fresh herbs is even better, we know, than the processed items. And nothing is fresher than cutting 2 or 3 twigs and adding it to your seasoning or your pot one time. It's fresh and right there, versus maybe something you have maybe 2-3 days in the fridge or something like that. So that is a good way to start. You may say, okay, plant the cabbage and the tomatoes. It's speaking about 3 months. Sometimes I get impatient. I was speaking yesterday, only yesterday, because we had the Senate yesterday. And myself and Senator Gawe was chatting just before the session. And he was speaking about him having, I think it was some tomatoes or peppers, and he saw the worms were putting holes in it, and he's like, man, this is like a frustration, and so you don't want someone to be going through too much. Pest and disease is natural, it would always come around. So you want to do what I call easy wins, and then as you go, you keep expanding and you build the confidence. It's like when you, as a little boy again, you started off with a tricycle. We have the 2 guard wheels, and then when you can handle, you remove those, and then you're on the 2 wheels. Or you raise them up a little bit, so just in case you don't fall, and then eventually you remove them. And this is how we have to do things. When we try to do things too broadly, the chance for you to lose and lose faith. Not that you don't have to be ambitious, but this is success is a thing that if not managed, if the pathway is not managed properly, you could lose greater. So that is my advice. And like a family is difficult. I mean, outside of all those big macro challenges, to see it grow, and you have to get enough water, and it didn't have enough nutrients, and all of those things. That is not like, I say, a baby, a human being, not even an animal that can respond and say, oh, here is hurting me. Or you have to able to talk and understand the connection. Mm-hmm.
Pretty larceny continues to be a problem, and I know it's a discouragement for veteran farmers, new farmers, people who just have a little plot of land behind their houses. How much inroads have we made in curbing pretty larceny, if any has been made? What else can we do to curb pretty larceny, because it continues to be a nagging problem?
Yeah, it's a big issue. And in fact, while you speak on pretty larceny, I want to just, before you go there, let us not lose sight that the whole issue of dog predation, dogs destroying animals, is as equally significant if we don't look at it carefully. I was speaking to a farmer only last night, And he's saying, brother, I lost over 30-something animals within the last year. You know, a goat or sheep is at least maybe $400-500, you know, with that. Because, and what the dogs do, they just maybe one bite. And once they see blood, they go. So it's not even that you can reuse, and most time, you know, yes, you will say, why the farmers don't fence the place? And these are the sort of discussions that I have been having with the Minister of Agriculture, so that we can be able to provide a better supporting environment for this, because this livestock industry is something that we have to develop definitely, you know, importing significant millions of pounds, $50-60 million worth of meat products into this country is an area of concern. So back on the pre-larceny matter, only yesterday in the Senate we had our meeting, and of course they had some questions to the leader of government business on this matter, and of course there were some responses that was provided, and I would share with the media subsequently the responses. But the minister understands, you know, significantly. In fact, only recently we was at a session and he called on the commissioner of police. And at one time I said, well, the minister calling the commissioner of police now, praise God, this is good. Because I've been calling. And he began to call and he said, Mr. Commissioner, just like how you have the drug squad, just like how you have the traffic wardens, and I've been calling for that. Let us have the pre-larceny wardens or pre-larceny squad or the pre-larceny RRU. And let's do something. You know what is ironical about all of this? Because you see, Blossom, we must call on the government. We can't talk about, you know, I see, you know, the commissioner talking about the farm watch. The farm watch, yes, may have worked, is part of a support network. But I was speaking to some farmers in Monlong only about 2 weeks ago, and they said, look, Mr. Engle, when we finish working our farms, you want us to go on farm watch? So the farmer working 24/7? I mean, we have to have more respect for that, you know? So the bottom line is that we have to put resources. When you look at the budget, in 2020, it was allocated, I think, something like about $225,000 for pre-larceny for 2020, you know? I just want to be self-corrected there, but somewhere there, and I think maybe about 16,000 maybe spent, something like that. But the point is, I want to make that in 2021, irrespective of what it was then, the budget was reduced to something like, I think, $50,000 or $25,000, and I raised that matter during the debate. So whatever is happening now, we basically have defunded pre-larceny. So if you're not putting money into it, I can't use the word hell, but how you expect to see any difference? So now, I understand the problem the government faced. The problem, the police actually got increased monies in the budget this year, if you look at it. But it wasn't towards pre-larceny, because pre-larceny was a line item for itself. And I raised that during the budget debate. I say we have defunded pre-larceny. The police has gotten more money. The more money is to do what? And pre-larceny is not different to any crime in Grenada, whether it's a drug crime, whether it's a traffic crime, whether it's a COVID crime, is not different. And the impact is even more significant. In fact, and why I speak about dog predation, theft of animals is also another big issue. I was speaking to another individual only 2 weeks ago, and he was explaining the challenges of that. And he raised some significant points. So, for example, he raised the matter of the sort of record keeping that we have in the abattoir. The good thing is that we have an abattoir, and that's very good, and so on. So the fact that all the animals generally would go through there, then if you have proper record keeping, if there is an issue, we can easily find out where you got the animal. Of course, we have persons who would kill and sell animals by the side of the road and so on. That's a different story. We know that need to be dealt with. But the point is, if you have the bill of sale, and that's supposed to happen, every time you sell something, you get a receipt. The police or whoever it is can go around and ask them, where is your bill of sale for these items that you have? You know, where is the bill of sale for the items? So at least if we know that you are doing that, it will help. But instead, what we do, we pass the buck again and we say, oh, you know, as a country, as a people, we should know who we're buying from. That is now the citizen. So we put in now the average citizen under extra pressure. But why we don't do it for drugs? Why we don't do it for traffic and say, well, you know, you should dig and don't monitor and don't bother. The same tenacity, because the Pre-Larceny Act is a law in Grenada. So the question is, we cannot be making laws and to put mechanism to manage its implementation. And the impact of this Pre-Larceny is millions of dollars. And if we cannot find resources to address that, then persons may say, look, I'm going to get out. I'm not going to have no animals anymore. I'm not going to have this anymore. And then we put our hands up in the air and say, oh, our food import bill. But hold on. Let's be real. And let's spend some time. And I think part of the issue, I also believe, Blossom, is that appreciation and understanding. You know, I've been speaking to the minister a lot, and we discussed, and he's been out in the field. And you see, boy, you didn't realize the challenges. You know, you see it head on. And that's why sometimes farmers say, come and see. You know, because they feel when you come and see, the question is, how many others of the minister's colleagues in cabinet are going and see? We see cutting of ribbons, cocktails. I'm not seeing nobody visiting a farmer's farm, cutting a ribbon, eating a mango with the farmer, and see, because maybe the farmer needs to have cocktails at his farm.
Except the minister, so except Minister David.
I know the former minister, Ms. Bina, she, as a woman, she been out there on the fields visiting my good friend, MP Moses. We taught agriculture science together for many years. So I know she understands those things equally. I know Minister Bowen, after Hurricane Ivan, I know he was on the ground trying to get resuscitation. But the question is, how many others of the colleague out there understand, getting the feel? Because as the song says, who feels it knows it. And what we want is to get out there. So sometimes even some of the town hall meetings that the government is having, and I have to say the government, because the government has the resource and the understanding. That's why I have to call it. It's not that I really trying to focus there only. Because if they understand, they can better able to provide the sort of support. Look, for example, we closed down the farm machinery program in Maribo since 2018. For whatever reasons, that was provided. But farmers are hurting. The commercial folks who have some of the equipment is very expensive. And also, some of them even break down and so on. And then the bright light about all of this, at the same time as Carrico have had its own challenges with farm machineries, I see the Ministry of Agriculture, they have a big advertisement that Carrico is offering tractor service for $70. So maybe we need to have an arrangement with Carrico, send down their tractor service to Grenada for a month, and bring income to Carrico and PD Martin Affairs. Maybe that's what we have to do. I don't know what they are doing different, but something is materially wrong. So sometimes we have to understand that it's not a matter of begging. There are certain things that government is better fit to. Just like how we're fixing roads, all those are part of our agriculture infrastructure. So maybe, yes, we need to fix maybe 10 miles of road, but maybe take some of that money instead and organize tractors, because some of the same tractors, and the minister has spoken about that, which is a very smart thought process, can be used for opening out certain lands for the farmers. Some farmers, they have a pathway, like a footpath. But if they can just get an area graded, at least a vehicle could go inside, you know, and they could better able to access the produce. But when it have to raise, you know, 2 bunch of fig, and you know, the system is killing them, you know. But this is not what they're saying. I mean, saying is one, but is what they're feeling. And if you go out and see and have to raise a bunch of fig with them and take a sack of potato on the back with them, they will understand And then we say, oh, agriculture don't making money, why people go in agriculture? It's not because of that. Only yesterday, I had a nice photo from a gentleman, and he is doing some hydroponic system, vertical farming, excellent. And he looking to scale up his kale and lettuce and so on. So there are people who trying to do different things, but he may have a little bit more access to cash to do that, okay? You know, so, but not everybody, I mean, we have to understand the situation. So I think we have to work smart. We have to work hard, but pre-elasting, as you say, is a major deterrent, but I will say I am really happy that the farmers are sticking it out. I mean, you had a frustrated farmer only a few weeks ago having to fire some bullets, as was said in the news. I actually personally spoke with the farmer, and I would say console him that I understand the frustration, you know, I understand the situation, but that doesn't mean to say that future farmers who meet the regular criteria shouldn't be given a license as the process would be. We can say, oh, because one farmer have to take action into his hand. But when you listen to the situation of that farmer, I saw the frustration. Frustration one, he have a case since in August last year for stealing of source that has not been resolved up to today. How we have that? How do you have that happening in this country? You know, how do we have that? You know, and then you have another case again, and I know the farmer, he has been involved in the source of business for a long time, and he has, I mean, when you look at his plot, it's like you could lie down, you could sleep, you could just, it's well kept. And when your farm is well kept, it's easy for thieves to go into it. And it's right by the road, you know, right by the road, you know, but one of his farms. So we need to, you know, the issue of transportation is also another issue for the pre-Elasini. I mean, I know the problem, they know the problem. And I reiterated it so that persons, maybe there might be somebody with a vehicle that might be willing to lend it, donate it to the government, to the police, to the ministry, to assist in this area. So for example, I understand that you would drop them in an area and tell them, well, scout around, meet the people, and some kind of meet the people too. That's how this thing works. This is a very tactical decision, tactical move. You ever see the RU dropping a place and hanging out there for 5 hours? No. The RU move from spot to spot and check what's going on and connect with the people. So if there is anything, they call them rapid response. So that's what we need, a rapid response unit for pre-Elasini. Rapid response. So even if you have 2 teams with transport moving, it's better than what we have right now. And I don't know what is so difficult. I sometimes ask myself, what is really, maybe, I mean, I'm not in the system, I don't really know, but I would really like to know, is there nobody? And then the other issue I learned is that if you look in the police force, a lot of persons who there came from pre-Elasini. I mean, I know a few of them well. So as we deplete them, we have not replaced them. So they graduate from pre-Elasini, which is good. People have to have self-upliftment, but we have to replace. But you see, if you put pre-Elasini as a specific unit, there you could have your ranks. You could end up being a sergeant. You could even be a corporal in the pre-Elasini. So what is happening now? You take a sergeant or some corporal from the police and say, you go supervise this group of pre-Elasini officers. And after a while, you as a pre-Elasini officer, you then graduate, kind of come into the police, and then you aspire to be some kind of person. But if we make it as a unit and we give them the ranks, corporal, sergeant, you know, so then it's a part of the unit. You have SSU, you have fire, you have crime squad, you have this, you have pre-Elasini unit, because that's part of the how you could be. We cannot be making laws and not put things to mechanisms for enforcement. It's like we defeated the purpose. I mean, sorry for going on long, but it's a bad problem, and we have to stop it.
I agree. It's a problem that it's been going on too long, and it doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon. And all measures put in place doesn't seem to be having.
But there is no measure put in place. So those are all measures.
What about the Pretty Larceny unit? There's a Pretty Larceny unit in the Ministry of Agriculture.
That unit was there long, but you see, the unit is being depleted. So there are measures put in place. There is measures being removed. Because if you listen it, the measures is not a measure anymore now. The measure going down is like your Wi-Fi, and you watch the bar going down. That's all happening. What we want is to measures mean, but you know that in music you have something called measures, I think, and the measures mean that it's like a bar going up and down. Yeah.
So, Dr. St. Clair, as we prepare to end this morning, any final thoughts, especially, Corpus Christi, planting, advice for farmers who may be going out? Well, they probably, most likely, they're in the farms already, but the people who are, thinking about it for the rest of the day or maybe later tonight.
I would say to our farmers that we do keep up this struggle. The struggle, not about policy and so on, but about the issue of climate change. We have to recognize that, because the weather pattern has changed a lot, the heat and rain and so on. The issue of taking care of our soils, so we don't go and plant indiscriminately. Meaning that if we are doing drains and so on, you do them across the contours rather than vertically, so that in case the rain come, you don't wash down the slopes and so on. The issue of soil conservation, planting, make sure that you have your soil as covered as much as possible. But most also is to involve the youth, the children also as part of that tradition, and let it understand, so that they can able to carry on down the road. I think that we have to look down the road, Blossom, of doing this thing almost as communities. So yes, we go to church together on a Sunday. But are we planting together? That whole issue of the maroon type way to support each other, so that we can spend time on this one farm this time and spend time in another farm to provide maybe some little assistance, because we go and they preach together, they go and do lectures together. If we can come together when it comes to those areas, these are things that we could do ourselves. We don't have to depend on others to do. Use that brotherly love in our farming. That is the message I want to leave with us this morning, and I want to wish everyone a safe holiday and keep safe. We're still in the COVID period, and we have done well. We need to continue doing well. We need to continue following the protocols. Only yesterday again, we have passed the extension of the emergency state of emergency. And the state of emergency is not about state of emergency for because you control COVID, but it gives the government and the authorities that flexibility without having to always coming back to Parliament, the opportunity to do the different regulations. I don't think there has been any abuse of power physically or otherwise by the police or anyone. We have to be law-abiding in what we do. Of course, there might be little breaches, but if approached by the police, then you be respectful, and it's those things that cause escalation, and I think we have done well, and we should give ourselves a tap on the back, and let's move forward.
Let me see if I can quickly run through some of the questions on social media. Somebody on WhatsApp is asking, what is the difference in soil makeup between St. Vincent and Grenada? I ask because we seem to depend on St. Vincent for the same crops that we can and have been producing in earlier years.
Well, I haven't done the test. Myself and Mr. Andal Adikadi actually had a discussion. But we have to understand that St. Vincent soil is a volcanic soil. And even now, so more than ever that they have now gone through this volcanic activity, there would be certain richness, because remember, the soil is the earth of minerals, all the micronutrients and all of those things. So they will tend to have a higher capacity in certain areas than us, definitely. And this farmer, this person is correct.
YouTube Here in the UK, a kitchen garden is like gold dust and waiting lists are really long. Would kitchen gardens be a viable option for folks with insufficient available space?
You mean for persons with close to their home?
Yes,
like
I guess without backyard, if a kitchen. Well, yeah, a small.
Yeah,
backyard.
well, I understand. Because in England, I understand the challenge there with the space, and also you would have to apply for an allotment, and I've been to some of those in the UK, and it can be a challenge. In Grenada, generally, and that's the interesting. Generally in Grenada, and you most people have some space because we are not apartmentalized so much unless you live in maybe in the deeper St. George's. But even if you go into some of the apartment, you'll see persons have the flower pot with some plants, some seasoning planted there. If you want to go to a sort of bigger crops, like tomatoes, it gets a little bit tricky. Although there is technologies where you can have this tomato hanging as a hanging flower from your roof and so on. But yeah, backyard is fine. Some persons use tires, they use different buckets and use old fridges and containers, and so you make it up, and it creates in fact, I was speaking to only last night, Senator Sincere, we was chatting, and she said along her fence, she has a pineapples planted there. So sometimes we plant flowers, but you have to figure out, how do you create that intercrop with flowers on your crops, Also, that is a very interesting point that is made.
And finally, quickly, what plants can somebody grow on rocks? They live in a rocky area.
Well, I will say the good thing about it, and they will tell you, you don't have to worry about whether you're in a rocky area or not, because really and truly, you don't need no soil to grow anything. You could grow soilless and hydroponics and so on. I would advise this person, you can, if the soil is really what you call shallow soil, so that can maybe 2-3 inches of soil, you get your bamboo, or you get the same old tires, and you get soil, you get pen manure, because the other topsoil, different parts of it, you get bags of that, you make your mixes, and then you can plant in. So maybe you may need to put 2 tires to give it enough soil depth, and so on. So you don't have to worry about that. And that is a very important question, because we keep speaking on, agriculture has to be in St. Andrews and all of those. It's nice, it's good. But this same person I told you about with his vertical is in, I think it's Lansapina or somewhere down there. So please, very good question. You could be anywhere. As I mentioned, this supermarket in Germany, they use their rooftop. So we have to be innovative. And I think that if people understand those sort of ways of farming, it would give them more interest, and would also address a lot of our food security problem. Potatoes. I remember in Limerick, we were planting garlic and so on in little boxes right on the side of the house. And we are harvesting significant amount of garlic. Garlic is an important food. So yes, we can do those things. And I like the discussion, and maybe next time Blossom is an area that we maybe need to look at. And I could have maybe Mr. Handel or even Mr. Gabriel Clark, who is our expert, also join us and sort of go to that direction. Farming is not about competing with the farmers, but getting people more involved and even getting the children involved at that sort of exciting innovation. Excellent questions.
Next time we link up, of course, we would, share and
we can have a special program just to deal with that. Yes,
all
yes.
Right. Thank you so very much, Senator St. Clair. Enjoy the rest of your Corpus Christi, sir.
You too. Bye-bye. Take care. Good.
Farmers and Fisherfolk representative in the Senate, Senator Roderick St. Clair. We thank him so much for being our guest this morning. And thank you, viewers and listeners, for tuning in to Good Morning Grenada on this Corpus Christi. Enjoy the rest of your holiday. Remember, there's no To The Point today. So enjoy the rest of your day. I'll still be here until 10. Enjoy the rest of your Corpus Christi. Whatever you're doing, be responsible. Don't drink and drive. Don't drive and drink. Don't text and drive. Don't drive and text. Don't walk or drive and litter. Have yourselves a blessed one.